everyone, and welcome to another video from us at the Kickabout with Chris and Dan. We today are going to do, it's called Alcott Premier League Managers Tier List Maker. So a lot of you would have heard of Tier Maker, the website. Alcott, I believe, I actually saw this on a different YouTube channel. I think Alcott is the name of the guy from the YouTube channel. I could be wrong. But if you want to do your own list on this, feel free. Let us know in the comments below when you inevitably don't agree with our decisions. We're going to do one each, so we'll take it in turns to do each segment. But effectively, we are ranking the 20 Premier League managers in order of worst to best. I guess let's get into it. I'm going to go first, so we're going to do one level each at a time. I am going to, so we'll go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I'm going to start with my worst. Where's the Watford manager then? Is he not on it?
19.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, Ranieri's there.
Oh yeah, he's
so okay, right. So it's only Nuno and Brucey. Right. So I think the worst manager in the Premier League is Daniel Farke. I feel like he's had 2 attempts now at doing something with Norwich, and in both times he doesn't have appeared to have made any real inroads into improving the Norwich team to make them more competitive in the Premier League. And in my head, my decision making with this. If he goes to another Premier League, if he gets fired, does he go to another Premier League club?
No, probably not.
I don't think he does. I don't even think he ends up in England. I think he'll go abroad.
Yeah.
At best, he goes to another Championship club.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put him there. Close behind, I'm going to do Brucey. It needs to be that way around. I think I appreciate that there's been some real negativity around Newcastle. But I just don't think that he has improved any player in that Newcastle team above and beyond what their natural ability already was. I don't think he's improved them at all. So I'm going to leave him there. This is when it starts to get tricky because now we're into the realms of managers where you can actually make a case for some of them being a lot higher because there's so many of them joined together. Next manager along, I am going to do Sean Dyche. Now, this is a bit controversial, but I just don't feel like he's got anything else other than Plan A. The only reason it's been okay for Burnley is because Plan A has worked so well. I'm probably going to end up changing this at some point.
It's locked in, mate. It's locked
in. So, yeah, I'm going to put him there. Next on the list, I'll be honest, this is tricky. I mean, probably going to go Ralph Hasenhüttl. Wait, there we go. Again, we're in the mix here of managers that could be. You could put Hasenhüttl in the 11 to 15 category, and Dyche as well, probably. I just feel like Southampton haven't really. There's been so up and down, and the 2 9-0 losses. You know, to have one is bad enough to preside over a second. I mean, he's done very well to keep his job, I think. And then next on the list, I'm going to put Nuno. He did a good job with Wolves.
Should it not be the one above?
20, 19, 18, 17, 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's five in this group.
Right.
Yeah, I think he did a good job with Wolves, although it waned a bit towards the end. We've already seen that he was sacked earlier today, as it happens, after a dreadful result against United at the weekend. I feel like he's just too negative. I think his tactics just don't work. He wasn't given the time at Spurs for sure, but I don't think, even if he was given time, I don't think it was ever going to work. He wasn't a good fit for Spurs from day one. And the fact he was sacked so quickly, I think, shows that Tottenham, that Daniel Levy also thinks that. So yeah, that is my bottom 5. I'll be honest, I think that Dean Smith, if I was to bring one manager out, I would probably bring Dean Smith in, and one of either Hasenhüttl or Dyche would go out.
Even though they're further behind than Nuno.
I see what you mean. I think reasoning. Dyche, because Plan A has worked so well, perhaps he deserves a bit more credit. You know what? Here we go. Right. just because he's done such a poor job at Spurs. I'm going to put him there.
Okay.
I think because Plan A has worked so well for Burnley, you could make a case to say, well, he's done a great job because Plan A has worked. I'm just amazed that Plan A has worked for so long. Hasenhüttl, I think he has done very well to bounce back from those 2 9-0s and still keep his job for one, but also, they've shown some fire. They've shown a bit of spirit about them. They picked up 1 or 2 results. So again, you could have made an argument for maybe to go into the 14-15 category. And Dean Smith, because of the way Villa have been this season so far, I think you can make a case for him being in there. Right, so that's my bottom 5. Now we're going to move and see what Dan thinks of his bottom 5.
So is this purely based on this season or
You can base it on whatever you like, mate.
Okay. Well, I would go with Parker, however you say his name, as bottom. Pretty much agreeing with what you said. We've only ever seen him in the Premier League for Norwich, and both times they've been getting smashed left, right, and centre. So
if this was Championship tier maker, he'd be at the top.
Yeah, definitely. Next for me would be Brucey. If Hodgson was there, it'd be a tie-up between him and Hodgson because they're just very boring managers. They just come in, they sort of steady the ship, but they don't really take teams anywhere.
His appreciation for a bacon roll is something I can get on board with, though. I'm a bacon roll connoisseur myself, so I can appreciate that.
Okay. Does he move up your tier list?
Yeah, depending on how many rashers of bacon, could be up near the top.
Whether it's ketchup or brown sauce.
If he's brown sauce, he goes back down. I'm ketchup man.
Oh no!
I'm a ketchup. You know a ketchup.
No.
Oh,
you've gone down in my third. Next for me is Solskjaer. He's just a Poundland PE teacher, to be honest. He's not a coach. He can't coach players. He doesn't improve players. And he's in charge of one of probably the best teams in the world. And he's struggling to get top 4. I don't see any tactics other than you were talking about a plan A for Dyche. Solskjaer can't even pull off plan A, let alone plan B. I like the guy as a player, but as a manager, I cannot stand him. Next for me would be the Wolves manager, just because I just really don't know enough about him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sure after the season, I haven't seen a whole season of him, he'd probably move up quite a bit, but judging on the fact that I just don't know anything about him.
He's picked up recently.
Yeah.
Obviously started scoring a few goals, getting some good results. So yeah. I think you're right. I think across the season he begins to creep up the list, doesn't
definitely, he? Yeah. But just for the fact that I do not know him at all, he's down there. And then the next one in the bottom probably would be Hasenhüttl for me. There's been a few times where you sort of thought that his time at Southampton was over, and he'd done really well at Leipzig. I'm surprised. I don't know if it's just the fact that he doesn't have the resources at Southampton like he did at Leipzig, and maybe he's just sort of stuck in a crosshair. But yeah, they're very up and down, but recently they're in good form, so we'll have to wait and see with that one.
Yeah. Right. Any tinkerings?
No,
happy with your selection?
I'm set with mine.
Right. Okay, right. Let's move on to the 11-15 category. Right, before we get going, I want to make one change.
Okay.
Because for some reason, despite the fact that we talk about him every fucking week on the show, I completely forgot about Solskjaer.
I did wonder how he was so far up.
Sean Dyche is going in there, and I'm putting Solskjaer in there for the exact same reasons you mentioned. You covered it perfectly. As soon as you said Solskjaer, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I not put him in? Right, so Sean Dyche is going up because Plan A has worked so well, but he's going to be number 15 in there. I'm going to put the Wolves manager in next. I think if I look at how Wolves have played, I think that he deserves to be above these guys for the time being, with how their season is going. I think, like you, the proof will be across the season as to whether he stays in that sort of bracket or does he begin to creep in. I don't think he'll ever be in this bracket.
No.
But he could make an argument to be in the 6 to 10 bracket. Next, I'm going to put Bielsa. I think that sort of position 13. I honestly think, and Leeds fans, if any Leeds fans are watching this, they're going to hammer me for this, but I just think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at Bielsa.
I think that last season when Leeds were doing quite well, he had this incredible reputation being this really like hard-nosed statistician. We've heard stories from Guardiola about him, but his lack or seeming lack of ability at being able to change his team depending on who he's playing, I think that's a real issue as a coach and a manager, to not be able to set up your team depending on who you're playing against.
Yeah,
I appreciate that comes from confidence in how you're playing that you don't want to change. But surely when you're a Leeds team playing in a Premier League against teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, United, I mean, United haven't even been that good over the last 2 years, consistently anyway, and they've battered Leeds every time they've played them. I
think it's not so much lack of ability. I think it's just pure stubbornness.
No, I agree. I'm gonna put Patrick Vieira in next. I think he's made a really good start. Again, he's another one that could make an argument to be in here as the season progresses. I wasn't sure at the start of the season when I saw, I think they played Chelsea first game of the season, and there was a few alarm bells ringing at how Palace was setting up. But credit to him, he's really got them going. And again, he's another one that is probably going to make a strong case for being up here. And I'm going to put Dean. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to put Dean Smith in here, just because I'm concerned with what's going on at Villa right now and whether they can arrest the slump. The first season they were in the Premier League, they survived by the skin of their teeth. Last season, they were very good, a lot better than everyone thought them to. I think in the summer, everybody thought they bought really well. They'd used the Jack Grealish money really well, and they've just not been able to gel, and it's not been able to click. There's been other personnel issues with people not being around, but at the moment, I think he's in the firing line for next manager to go. So if I look at what I've got left, I'm fairly pleased with what I've got left. There's a few managers. Had we have done this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there's 1 or 2 in that list that I would not be putting as high as they are. I'm looking at you, Arteta. And I'm probably basing my Ranieri score on his previous achievements. If I was being really hard-nosed with everybody, saying, right, it's based on this season alone, then Ranieri is probably in here. I think he's not in there. That would be harsh, or certainly not in the bottom 4. The bottom 4, I think, are fairly nailed. I think anything above that, into that sort of 8 and below bracket, is a bit more. You can make arguments for that. So that's my 11 to 15. I'm fairly happy with that. Right, let's get into Dan's.
Yeah, next for me is Nuno. Started off really, really strong for Wolves when they first came up to the Premier League, and obviously he got them up to the Premier League in the first place. But after that first season, they started going backwards, and they never really stopped going backwards. And eventually he left, and obviously he's gone to Spurs, and it's just really not worked out at all for Spurs. I don't really like the style of football he plays.
Neither do Spurs fans.
No, neither do Spurs fans. I don't know where. I can't see him getting another Premier League job. I think he'll be going to somewhere like Spain or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Right. He was from Spain originally, wasn't he?
Portugal.
Or was he Portugal? Was he Portugal? Yeah. Oh, he was at Benfica.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Next for me, just having a look who's there. Would be Bielsa. I mean, you've pretty much sort of said it already. I think he's just very stubborn, and it's almost, to me, similar to Solskjaer, the fact that they just don't have a plan B. Every single game is exactly the same tactical style, no matter who they're playing, and no matter what the result was last time. Like you said about Leeds playing United, it's the way they set up is just perfect for United. And we beat them 6-1 last season, I think, and then 5-1 at the start of the season this year. And I mean, that's only their second win so far. They're not doing very well at all.
Yeah, I mean, recruitment's been an issue. Maybe money is a problem. They've not been able to buy as much as they wanted to.
Spending 25 mil on Dan James is
that's questionable, and he's not giving them value for money yet. Bamford not scoring is being a big issue. And as we said earlier in the podcast when we were talking about them earlier on, if Rafinha doesn't fire, who's scoring their goals?
Yeah. Next for me is old Sean Dyche. I don't think he's a bad manager. I mean, you look at the club he's at, they literally have no resources whatsoever. And every year he manages to keep them up. And
I think maybe I was a bit harsh on that.
you put him like third bottom at first, didn't you? He slowly made his way out.
I'll put him in the 2 to 5 bracket by the end of this video.
Yeah, I mean the resources he's had, and he's brought in Cornet.
Yeah, he's been good.
He's been
Maxwell
really good.
Cornet.
He's scored every game, I think. So
Umbro
far.
have been really pleased with him.
Yeah, I think he does the job that he's been given to do. To be honest, there's no more and no less.
Do you think he would, if he went to another club, another Premier League club? How much success do you think he'd have? Could he step up into, if you put Burnley in that sort of bottom 5 category of teams in the Premier League, could he go into that middle tier Premier League club and improve somebody else with a bit more money? Do you think?
I don't know. To me,
or is he a bit too one-dimensional?
I think he's another Bruce and Hodgson. Like you're not getting relegated with him, but you're not pushing for trophies either.
Yeah, you're not pulling up any trees.
No. Next, I would say probably Dean Smith. I think he'd have been a lot higher if Grealish was still at the club. To me, it just looks like since they lost Grealish, they're a completely different team. Which I know Grealish is a massive player, but losing one player to have such a big impact on their season, it sort of pushed him down a bit for me.
Yeah, we all knew how much Grealish meant to that team, but I think we're seeing how much he meant to them.
The impact it's having.
The fact that everything that he brought to that team that they've now not got, and at the moment the players they brought in have not been able to reproduce.
Yeah. Next to me would probably be Ranieri, to be honest. I know he's done things at Chelsea, and he obviously won the title with Leicester, but since then I just don't see him as that sort of. The fact that he's gone to a club like Watford is just sort of makes me think that's the kind of manager he is now. He's going to relegation teams.
Yeah,
I feel like he is a fairly old bloke, to be fair to him, and he has been around the block a bit. But
yeah, he's like a modern day Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I really like it. I'm so glad he's back in the Premier League because his press conferences are quality. But I do think he's in that bracket there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right, okay. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right,
let's tinkering from me.
Right, let's move on to our 6th to 10th. Right. So I'm going to put Ranieri in at number 10. I think that I would put him in lower if it wasn't for the magic that he worked at Leicester. I can't ignore what he's done. I appreciate that was 5-6 years ago, however long ago it was now. But that achievement, I can't see that being replicated again for a very, very long time. Regardless of how well Leicester do right now under Rodgers, how well West Ham do, I just don't think we'll see it again. I don't think you'll have a season where all of those top clubs all fall off the face of the earth for one season, and another team take advantage in the way that Leicester did. I just don't see it. He goes in at number 10, almost purely on that. Next on my list, I'm going to go for Thomas Frank. I think since he's come into the Premier League, I love this guy's attitude and his outlook on everything that Brentford do. They've been a breath of fresh air in the league. I know there's that phrase is often used with a new team that comes up.
Yeah.
But they've got it. They've attacked everything with no fear. They're organised. They're disciplined. And the results they've had against some of the bigger teams. I know they've not played all the biggest teams yet, but they played Liverpool and held them. They beat West Ham. They beat Arsenal first game of the season.
Lost to Chelsea.
Only just.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for what's the Chelsea goalkeeper's name? I can't remember.
Mendy.
If it wasn't for Mendy, then that could have been a different story. I think he's been superb, and I think that he's a really just fantastic manager to have. He looks hungry. He looks like the sort of manager that's quite dynamic in what he does, almost like a Guardiola type figure. I imagine that's how players look at him in the changing room, the way he's able to motivate his team. I suspect every player in that team loves playing for Thomas Frank. Next on my list, I am going to go for Rafa Benitez. This one, do you know what? I think, again, this is based on his history, because right now he's not really doing a particularly brilliant job at Everton. Although a little bit like Nuno, the stats, if you looked at them in isolation on the stats, they're not awful.
Yeah.
But if you dig a little deeper into the performances, they've not been as good. I'm putting him there for some of his history stuff. The Champions League final with Liverpool, the Europa League Chelsea team, but also more recently the job that he did with Newcastle, which since he's left has become all the more apparent of just how good it was since we've seen what happened with Brucey. So I think him there at number 8. is a good one. I'm going to put Graham Potter in there next. A man whose stock has just risen and risen and risen and risen in the last sort of year, 18 months. The way he's got that Brighton team playing right now is just astonishing. And with a bit more investment, if they could find a really cutting-edge striker that can get them 10 to 15 goals a season, then the league position they currently have, I'm not suggesting they'll hold that, but there's no reason why they couldn't start knocking on the door for Europe. If you can continue playing like that and maintain that, and he looks like the sort of manager that will demand it, then I don't see any reason why they can't have some real success with Graham Potter. The key will be, can they prevent a bigger side coming in for him? I wouldn't be surprised. I know the rumour at the moment is Emery at Newcastle, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some serious
I think that would be good if
considerations.
I got it, actually. Yeah.
I mean, it's strange, isn't it, that, it seems crazy that you would say, does the Brighton manager really want to go to Newcastle? Because Newcastle, with respect to Brighton, are a far bigger club than Brighton are.
Yeah.
But at the moment, one club's going that way and one club's going that way, and it's not Newcastle going up. So, I think that one's key.
Did you see Basuma was playing again as well?
Yes, I did see that. That was all quite low key.
Completely hush hush, wasn't it?
It was quite low key. Right, I'm going to put Arteta in at number 6. I think, again, he would probably be sort of maybe here, maybe even in here at the start of the season. Rightly questioned. I think there was a lot of concern about whether he was the right man for Arsenal, in the same way that Solskjaer has been questioned for United. Unlike Solskjaer, he seems to have proven that he does have the ability to really implement a plan and take the club forward. So I think that, again, he might even begin to creep into here if he can continue the way he's going with Arsenal. Because at the moment, Arsenal look like they're going great guns.
Yeah.
So, that's my 6 to 10. I think I'd be surprised if your top 5 is not this as well. But we shall see in a moment. So let's do your 6 to 10.
So let me just quickly see what I've got left. Yeah, so next will probably be Vieira. I think, depending on how sort of Palace do, I can see him slowly making his way up the list. Didn't really obviously see much of him at Nice, I think he was at.
At Nice? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was also at an MLS club, wasn't he, as well?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I believe he was at... I can't remember which team it was.
I think just so far watching Palace, they look like quite an exciting team to watch, especially with some of the sort of players they've got, like the likes of Zaha, etc.
Was it New York City? Is New York City the one that's owned by City?
Yeah,
it was them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so good things to come, I reckon, from Vieira. Next would be Thomas Frank. To be fair, I really thought Brentford would be going straight back down. I can't remember where I put him in our little table predictor thing, but I think they were either 19th or 20th. He's gone above and beyond my expectations of Brentford, and
everybody, I think.
Yeah, they look like a really I'm not looking forward to playing them. They look like a really tough team to beat. So yeah, fair play to him. Next for me would be Potter, I think. Really like the style of play he plays. The only reason he's further behind than some of the other managers is because he's never won anything. Well, not big. I think he might have won stuff in Norway or wherever he was, but I think it was in Norway.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's sort of fairly unproven in the Premier League other than just Premier League survival. But the way that Brighton play football, they are a tough team to beat, and they proved that against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I think Graham Potter would be great at a team like Newcastle or slightly higher up. Next for me would be, I think, Arteta. I mean, he's won an FA Cup, I think, with Arsenal. I don't think he's won anything else, but he's been very up and down. But I think now we're starting to see him build up the team he clearly wants.
Yeah.
And I think now now they're starting to gel. We're seeing that Arteta football and that sort of where he's been the understudy to Guardiola.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they've not. I mean, they've spent a bit of money this summer, but I mean, everyone thought at the start of the season that the money they spent was quite foolish.
Yeah.
But actually, as it turns out, maybe we need to give the guy a little bit more respect.
Yeah. I mean, we've been dissing Arsenal for a lot of the start of the season for sure, but I mean, now again, I'm not looking forward to playing them because they're a team in form and all of them are gelling together. And
the youngsters at Arsenal have been outstanding.
Well, Smith Rowe's been keeping what's his name, Odegaard out of the team, and they sort of signed him from Real Madrid. I bet he thought this was his big break. Had come to Arsenal. And now he can't get in the team.
He will finally get loads of first team.
No, he can't get in the team at Arsenal. Next, to be honest, it's a toss up between Benitez and Moyes. I'll probably go Moyes. Based on this season, last season, he would actually be in the category above.
Yeah.
But I think when you include what Benitez has done at other clubs as well, he just pips David Moyes for me. Because David Moyes was great at Everton, but he never really did anything, I don't think.
No, they did. They had some okay European runs. I mean, they certainly didn't win anything. So,
and then obviously we all know about his stint at United. I think he went to Sociedad as well.
Yeah, Real Sociedad.
And that was about as good as United. And then obviously since he's been at West Ham, he's brought West Ham to massive heights.
He also had Sunderland in there as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Sunderland as well.
He did what no other manager could and finally relegated.
Yeah. So based on more the other teams rather than what he did at West Ham is why he's in that category. But yeah, obviously with West Ham, he's starting to look like, I don't know, he's starting to look like a top manager, to be honest. And like you said, if United hadn't already had him, then it's probably a manager United would be looking at. But so that's my 6 to 10.
Alrighty. Right, we're into the business end then. Let's do our top 5. Right, okay. I am going to do Moyes first. Moyes at 5th. I think to the point you just made about his career, for me that puts him above one or two of the others, just purely because I think when West Ham first signed Moyes, he's obviously had 2 stints at the club. The first time we signed Moyes, I mean, there was universal outcry at the possible. What are we doing? Signing a man who has not done anything since Everton, which was quite a long time ago. He had a poor spell at Man United. He was even worse at Sociedad. He was even worse at Sunderland. He got, lambasted for that time at Sunderland because, from moment one, even before the season started, he was talking about relegation and about the squad and all that kind of stuff. And he was giving off all the wrong signals. And for a man of his age, with respect to him, to come back and still have the fight, the hunger, and the ability to coach in the modern day. I mean, how many other of the older managers you could say you're stuck in your ways, you're never going to change? Where Moyes seems to me like he's actually changed a little bit. He's adapted to what West Ham have done. He's built a fantastic squad at West Ham. We're riding high. We're riding a massive crest at the moment. Long may it continue as a West Ham fan. So for me, that sort of career comeback to get back to a point where he's completely repaired his legacy, if you like, and his reputation as a manager, I think is amazing, because there's been so many other players and managers that would never have been able to make that sort of comeback in the way that he has. Next will be Brendan Rodgers. I think you could make an argument to say that Brendan Rodgers actually shouldn't be that high.
Yeah.
I think you could easily make an argument for that, but I'm doing this based on he had a fantastic record with Celtic. I know that it's Scottish football, and I know that it's Celtic, and Rangers had only just come back up to the top flight in the last couple of years. But still, to have the record that he did, win as many games as he did, win as many trophies, do it year after year after year. He did a really good job at Swansea. He came in within a slip from Steven Gerrard of winning the Premier League. So I think all in all, I think he is a very good manager, and he is rightly linked to some big jobs. He's won an FA Cup and a Community Shield with Leicester, so you have to give him respect. And if it wasn't for just that effectively running out of puff a little bit towards the end of the last 2 seasons, they would have been top 4 in the last 2 seasons as well. So I think, despite the fact that my allegiances are clearly with David Moyes, I think that is the right way around to have them. For the moment, I'm going to go Tuchel third. Now, if Joe Morton is watching this video, he's going to go fucking nuts at me right now. But let me explain why. If Tuchel wins the Premier League this year, he's arguably going to be in here. He is arguably going to go up to the top. Now, what he's done at Chelsea in such a short space of time is absolutely phenomenal. The way he's got them playing, the way he's got them linked, he is clearly a very, very good manager. I'm putting these two above them purely because they have been at the top of the game in the Premier League for the last couple of years. That's the only reason I'm doing it for now. But make no mistake about it, it is very, very close between those three. And I think that you could speak to 10 different people and get 10 different opinions on which one of those three should be around that way. I'm going to go with Klopp second. I think that the last season was a really difficult season for Liverpool. To come back and still get top four was a fantastic achievement. But I just feel like there's just this relentless ruthlessness about Guardiola, which puts him there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's really tight. And if I had done this list tomorrow, I might feel differently. I might feel that Klopp is actually there and not Guardiola. But for me at the moment, that's where it is. And you can make arguments, money that they spent, etc., etc. But come the end of this season, depending on where they all finish, it literally could be a case of, depending on where the teams finish this year, that is the order that the manager's doing.
Yeah.
If Chelsea get first, Liverpool second, it might end up being like that. It's that close. So yeah, I think my top 20 managers ranked as they are, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So right, let's go and do yours then.
Next, it'll probably be Benitez. Like I said, he's obviously won things in the past, which is why he's so high up. But recently, he seems to just be flittering around to different teams. I mean, obviously, he was at Newcastle, and he went abroad to China, and then he was at Napoli. I might have got the order wrong there, but yeah, he doesn't seem the sort of Liverpool Champions League final manager that he was. It seems so long ago now, but I do still think he's a top manager. And he's come to Everton at a tough time. It seems that they're trying to cut back on the money that they've been spending, whereas Ancelotti got to throw money out left, right and centre.
Yeah, and Benitez has sort of been left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and I think he spent 1.5 million this summer. So,
do you think that there's an element of Benitez is sort of underappreciating himself by taking jobs such as Everton?
Yeah, I think so.
With all respect to Everton and Newcastle, this is a guy who has been at the top of the game for a long time. He's won a lot of trophies. You could, on one hand, you could argue it's amazing that he's prepared to take these projects at these lower clubs and see what he can do and try and build these clubs up. On the other hand, you could say, well, you're risking tarnishing your legacy by going to these clubs and failing.
Well, it's a bit like Ranieri for me. I mean, when did Leicester win the Premier League? Was it 2016?
Yeah, around there.
So 4 or 5 years ago, he won the Premier League. Now he's literally at the opposite end of the table, trying to avoid relegation.
I mean, he got sacked the next season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, not even halfway through the next season, he got sacked.
So, yeah, I think both of them are in the same boat. It's just, I mean, obviously he's at Everton, which is a much better team than Watford, but it's a strange situation. Rodgers next, obviously, he's not going to get ahead of those three. Yeah, I mean, like you say, he's one of those where he could be much further down the list. And the way Leicester are going at the moment, by the end of the season, I might knock him down a few pegs. But obviously he did some outstanding things at Celtic. Not that, well, I say that not that's too hard. They're struggling at the moment, and there has been quite an impact since he left.
Maybe we are actually seeing just how good he was.
Yeah,
since he's gone,
they've not won anything. I don't think, have they? Because under Neil Lennon, they struggled.
No, it was really bad under him, and it's not really improved a huge amount since this other guy's come in. I don't know who he is. I can't remember his name.
I think.
Yeah, but he's Australian.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but he's Greek.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't need to say too much more on Brendan Rodgers, I don't think. Third for me would be Tuchel. You already know that. I think you're hovering over him. I don't know if winning the Premier League would move him up for me. If he won the Premier League 2-3 years in a row, then maybe. I just think the other two are.
So if he did that, so if he won the Premier League this year, or even 2 years in a row, you still wouldn't even put him above both of them?
No, because I mean Chelsea have a lot of spending power. I know City do as well. I mean what Tuchel did, to come into Chelsea the way they were under Lampard and then win the Champions League in that season was miraculous. But for me, he just needs to do it, constantly.
Yeah.
If we did this next year, the year after, potentially he'd be second. I don't know if I'd move him above Guardiola. I just think Guardiola is the god of management at the moment. He's like the modern day Sir Alex Ferguson, to be honest. Yeah, second for me is Klopp, because you could sort of rotate him or Guardiola depending on your views. I mean, Klopp has nowhere near as much money as Guardiola has to play with, but I just think what Guardiola's done with City compared to what Klopp obviously won the Premier League and the Champions League, whereas Guardiola hasn't actually won the Champions League with City. And maybe that it's difficult depending on what you're looking at. But I think what Guardiola's done with all the clubs he's been at, he's won everything, hasn't he? Other than the Champions League at City.
Yeah, I mean, one of the common things that's thrown at Guardiola is that every club he's been to has already had a side that's dominant in their league, with a squad that's ready-made to win the league. The other side of their argument is that, well, there's a reason that Guardiola goes to these teams and these teams want Guardiola because he's that good. Yeah. If Klopp had gone there, if Tuchel had gone there, if Benitez had gone there, you could say the same thing.
If you've got the choice of Troyes or PSG, you're going to PSG, aren't you?
Exactly. So it doesn't really wash with me, because the biggest clubs in the world want the best managers in the same way they want the best players. So the fact that Guardiola has done Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Man City is no coincidence. It's because he is one of the best managers of recent times, anyway. So yeah, no, I'm fully on board with Guardiola being there. And I think that so many other managers, when they play the same sort of style of football, they get found out after a while. So Guardiola, he's relentless, and we've seen it not that I've seen it, but I've heard from the Man City documentary on Amazon that he is just ruthless. He is so specific and goes into sort of minute details.
And I think he's a great coach as well. We saw it with Sterling. Like, Sterling's biggest problem was that he couldn't score goals. And then, 2 years in a row, he was City's top goal scorer. And we've seen it with Foden. Foden sort of came out of nowhere. And there was talks of this kid at City that could be the next big thing.
Yeah, we saw Foden at the under-16s, under-17s World Cup, whatever it was.
And to see the progression of Phil Foden under Guardiola, and Guardiola's pretty much taken him under his wing. Yeah, to be honest, I could see if Guardiola left and went to, say, Barcelona, I could see him signing Phil Foden.
Oh yeah,
to go with
100%.
him.
But you look at, if you go down that route and start looking at managers that improve players, you look at, as you say, Guardiola, what he's done with Sterling and Foden, but also John Stones.
Yeah,
I know he doesn't always play John Stones, but you look at the improvement in him has been outstanding. You'd argue that De Bruyne has gone to another level. Yaya Toure when he was there, David Silva. These are all players that have all really gone to the next level under Guardiola. Maybe Yaya Toure and David Silva have been there for a number of years previous to Guardiola, of course, but in fact, Yaya Toure might be too far. No, Yaya Toure was there in the last year or two.
Yeah.
But you get my point. Even if those examples aren't completely on point, you get my. There's enough examples there of players that he's improved.
Yeah, I mean, and you were talking about the ruthlessness. He as soon as he got in, he was like, I don't want Joe Hart.
Yeah,
got rid of him.
He was England number one at the time.
Brought in Claudio Bravo, decided Claudio Bravo wasn't what he needed, got rid of Claudio Bravo and brought in Edison.
Wasn't there another? Didn't he bring in Julio Cesar?
No, it was Bravo.
It was Bravo. Barcelona. No, Cesar went to QPR.
Yeah. But he knows exactly what he wants, and he's not gonna mess around with feelings and stuff like that. He's straight to the point.
No room for sentiment.
No,
at the top
he's a serial winner.
Yeah. No. Okay. Right. Well, there we go then. So, just a quick recap then. So, my top 20: Farke, Bruce, Solskjaer, Nuno Gomez, and Hassan Hüttl in the bottom 5. Then Dyche, Smith, Bruno Lager, Bielsa, Vieira in the 11 to 15. Ranieri, Thomas Frank, Benitez, Graham Potter, and Arteta in 6 to 10. Moyes, Rodgers, Tuchel, Klopp with Guardiola at the top. I'm fairly happy with that. I think, as we've said, from here, from sort of 17th up to probably 10th, I think you could make an argument for that being in almost any order you like. I think that you could almost take them out of the equation into their own group and just say they're the sort of mediocre ones. But I think everybody else that's outside of that there is a very clear reason as to why they're not included in that group.
Yeah.
So that's mine. So if we just take a look at yours, so let's just have a see what the differences are. So you got Farker, Bruce. I think that there is the same, other than, did I put the Wolves?
I put
Nuno in there instead of him. I think the middle one, I put Vieira in there. You put Ranieri.
Yeah.
I put Ranieri at 10th. So we're quite similar. Moyes, obviously, for Benitez. We're quite similar.
Yeah, not too far off. Just one or two managers in different positions.
Yeah. Right, well, there you have it. There is our top 20, in our view, managers. So we've probably butchered a few. We've probably given highly contradictory reasons why we put them in there. So do feel free to tell us why we're wrong and what your 20 is. You can send us it on social media. You can put it in the comments below. However you like to do it. Let us know what your top 20 would be, or just let us know where we've made the mistakes in your opinion. This is opinion, of course, so keep it clean. Don't abuse us.
You can abuse Chris if you want.
I'm probably going to get pelters from people who've only watched up until we did the 11 to 15. When they see that I've not put Solskjaer in that 16 to 20, they're going to go, "What the fuck is this guy on?" So keep watching, because I did change it. So, thank you very much, everyone. Please hit that subscribe button and like. Our podcasts go out every Tuesday, so do give us a listen and give us a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And we'll see you soon.